ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, dear Prabhujis, we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 3rd, Karma Yoga. So the first verse, we are going to start the chapter. So very first verse. So Arjun ji is asking question to Lord Shri Krishna. Arjuna vacha jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tat kim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. So very beautiful verse. Arjuna vacha jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tat kim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. Arjuna vacha जायसी चेत कर्मणस्ते मता बुद्धिर्जनार्दना तत्किं कर्मणि घोरे माम नियोजयसि केशवा. Arjuna vacha said, Jayasi, speaking very highly, chet although, karmana then fruitive actions, te your, mata opinion, buddhi intelligence, janardana o keshava, tat therefore, kim why, karmani in action, घोरे घास्टली माम मी नियोजयसी engaging me Keshava o Krishna. Arjuna said, O Janardana, O Keshava, why do you urge me to engage in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? O Janardana, O Keshava, why do you urge me to engage in this ghastly warfare tatkim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava, if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? Jayasi chet karmana te mata buddhi janardana mata buddhir janardana. O Janardana, O Keshava, why do you urge me to engage in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? So in the purport, Swami Srila Prabhupada explains, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Shri Krishna has very elaborately described the constitution of the soul in the previous chapter with a view to deliver his intimate friend Arjuna from the ocean of material grief. And the path of realization has been recommended, Buddhi Yoga or Krishna Consciousness. Sometimes Krishna Consciousness is misunderstood to be inertia, and one with such a misunderstanding often withdraws to a secluded place to become fully Krishna conscious by chanting the holy name of the Lord Krishna. But without being trained in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, it is not advisable to chant the holy name of Krishna in a secluded place where one may acquire only cheap adoration from the innocent public. Arjuna also thought of Krishna consciousness or Buddhi Yoga or intelligence in spiritual advancement of knowledge as something like retirement from active life and the practice of penance and austerity at a secluded place. In other words, he wanted to skillfully avoid the fighting by using Krishna consciousness as an excuse. But as a sincere student, he placed the matter before his master and questioned Krishna as to his best course of action. In answer, Lord Krishna elaborately explained Karma Yoga or work in Krishna consciousness in this third chapter. So, very beautiful verse. Arjun ji is asking question to Lord Shri Krishna. Jayasi chet karmana te. Lord Shri Krishna, he described so much to Arjun ji about Buddhi Yoga, about intelligence, steady intelligence in Krishna consciousness, about divine consciousness. So Arjun ji, after hearing all those things from Lord Shri Krishna, he is asking, Jayasi chet karmanaste. Jayasi, you spoke so much. You spoke so highly. You spoke so much on intelligence in Krishna consciousness, about divine consciousness, about the state of samadhi, and you explained that divine consciousness or consciousness in the Supreme Lord is better than fruitive actions, working for oneself, working for one's sense gratification. So Jayasi Chet Karmana, here Karmana, Arjunji is referring to fruitive actions. Jayasi Chet Karmana Te, Jayasi Chet Karmana Ste, Mata, according to your opinion, Mata, Buddhi Janardana, divine consciousness or intelligence in Krishna consciousness, advancement of intelligence in Krishna consciousness or divine intelligence, divine consciousness is more important than fruitive actions. You explained Jayasi. So Arjunji is asking, you explained so much on this subject matter. Then Tatkim, then why Tatkim Karmani Ghore Mam, this war, why you are urging me for fighting? This war is going to be very ghastly. Swami Srila Prabhupada has explained in the purport. So ghastly warfare, ghore. So the word ghore means ghor. So tat kim karmani, therefore kim, why, karmani, in action, ghore, ghastly, mam, me, niyojayasi, engaging me, niyojasi Keshava, O Janardana. You spoke so much about divine consciousness and you explained that divine consciousness is better than fruitive actions. Then why you are engaging me in this ghastly warfare? Karmani, tat kim karmani ghore mam. Niyojayasi, why you are engaging me? Why do you want to engage me? Why you are urging me to fight when you explained? So Arjuna said, O Janardana, O Keshava, why do you urge me to engage in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? So very beautiful verse. Actually Arjunji is representing the conditioned souls of this material world, and many people, they misunderstand Krishna consciousness as inertia. Swami Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport. Many people, they think that Krishna consciousness or God consciousness is something like retirement, is taking retirement from active life, giving up one's occupational duties, svadharma, and go to a secluded place and become sadhu or a sage by chanting the holy name of the Lord or by practice of some other yogic processes. So on behalf of all conditioned souls, just to explain others, Arjunji is asking this question to Lord Shri Krishna. Because Lord Shri Krishna, he spoke so much about divine consciousness, and in the purport Swami Srila Prabhupada explained, because Arjunji was in grief, so Lord Shri Krishna spoke about the science of the soul, just to deliver his friend, his intimate friend, his grief-stricken friend from the grief. So Lord Shri Krishna explained about the soul, about the eternal life of every living entity, that no one nityasya yukta sharirinaha antavanti me deha nityasya yukta sharirina. What pervades the entire body, the soul, is indestructible, it is immutable, it cannot be killed. The soul is eternal while the body is temporary. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead Shri Krishna has very elaborately described the constitution of the soul in the previous chapter with a view to deliver his friend Arjuna from the ocean of material grief. He was not only in grief, Swami Srila Prabhupada is writing, he was in ocean of material grief, because he has to fight with all his kinsmen and killing them. Of course, it is a very difficult situation for Arjunji. Nobody in this world would have ever faced such a difficulty which Arjunji went through. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead Shri Krishna has very elaborately described the constitution of the soul in the previous chapter with a view to deliver his intimate friend Arjuna from the ocean of material grief. And the path of realization which Lord Shri Krishna recommended, the path of realization, the path of spiritual realization, Lord Shri Krishna recommended to Arjuna as Buddhi Yoga, or intelligence in Krishna consciousness or Krishna consciousness. So Arjun ji is asking this question to Lord Shri Krishna, then why tat kim karmani ghore mam? So much you explained about the soul, so much you explained that one should be situated in divine consciousness, and this life, this body is temporary, life is eternal, then why should not I work for my eternal life? So Arjunji also thought, so many people, Swami Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport, they think Krishna consciousness as something like giving up all the actions, renouncing all actions, and just engage in remembrance or chanting of the holy names of the Lord, go to a secluded place, but one is only able to gain some cheap adoration from the innocent public. The public, innocent public, they think, oh, here is a great sage and he is practicing austerities and penances. He has given up all material activities and he is trying to connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is trying to get liberation and he is engaging in chanting of the holy names of the Lord, other yogic processes. So one can only gain by renouncing material activities and going to a secluded place. One can only gain cheap adoration from innocent public. Krishna consciousness has to be, one should be trained up in Krishna consciousness under the able guidance of a bona fide spiritual master who has understood the philosophy, who has understood the purport of all the Vedic literatures properly. So unless one is trained up in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, unless one is guided by the spiritual master, one should not give up his occupational duties. And occupational duties have to be done for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. That already Lord Shri Krishna gave hint in the previous chapter. Now Lord Shri Krishna, because Arjun ji has asked that question, so for clarification of the whole world, because most of the people in this world, they think like that Krishna consciousness or practicing Krishna consciousness or divine consciousness means to give up all engagements, all occupations, and just renounce the work, go to a secluded place and practice austerities and penances, and hence one can get one can get adoration from the innocent public as a very renowned sage. So sometimes Krishna consciousness is misunderstood. The path of realization has been recommended, Buddhi Yoga or Krishna consciousness. Sometimes Krishna consciousness is misunderstood to be inertia, and one with such a misunderstanding often withdraws to a secluded place to become fully Krishna conscious by chanting the holy name of the Lord Krishna. But without being trained in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, it is not advisable to chant the holy name of Krishna in a secluded place where one may acquire only cheap adoration from the innocent public. So Swami Srila Prabhupada is explaining that yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado yasya aprasadan na gati kutopi. So that is the injunction of the scriptures. Yasya prasadan bhagavat prasado yasya aprasadan na gati kutopi. So one cannot understand Krishna consciousness without the mercy of a bona fide spiritual master. A bona fide spiritual master comes in disciplic succession, which starts from the Supreme Lord. The disciplic succession starts from the Supreme Lord, and one who comes in the disciplic succession, he very well understands the desire of the Supreme Lord, and executing his order or by executing his instructions only, one can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado yasya aprasadan. If one satisfies the spiritual master, if one can satisfy a bona fide spiritual master, then only he can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if one is not able to satisfy the spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, then there is no question of the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it is very, very important. That's why Swami Srila Prabhupada is writing and explaining that people should not on their own concoct Krishna consciousness to be something. And most of the people in this world, because they have an idea that great sages and great tapasvis, great souls, they go to secluded place and they practice, but they also, unless one is guided by a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession, one cannot get perfection. That is the injunction, that is the conclusion of all the revealed Vedic scriptures. So Swami Srila Prabhupada, he is trying to explain that unless one is trained up in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, without being trained in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, it is not advisable to chant the holy name of Krishna in a secluded place. And Swami Srila Prabhupada has jokingly sometimes said that if one renounces everything and try to imitate Haridas Thakura and other very exalted personalities who were able to chant the holy name 24 hours a day, not 1 hour, not 2 hours, not 3 hours, but they were able to chant 22 hours, 23 hours, and sometimes whole 24 hours a day, whole day and whole night they were able to, because they were so exalted. So if one thinks that I can imitate Haridas Thakur and other exalted personalities and can advance in Krishna consciousness by renouncing all work, all my occupational duties, svadharma, then Swami Srila Prabhupada jokingly sometimes he has said that one will only sleep soundly if one goes for such imitation. So one has to follow imitation, anusarana and anukaran. There are two words. So anusarana and anukarana. So anusarana is following the instructions, following the orders, following the recommendations of a bona fide spiritual master. Whereas anukarana means imitating some exalted personality. So because one is very, very weak, because everyone, those who are conditioned in this material world, those who have desires for sense gratification, those who are unable to control their mind and senses, so they are very, very weak, and one should not try to imitate an exalted personality. So if one tries to do so, he will at most one can gather or gain some cheap adoration from some innocent public. So it is very, very important to be trained up. So Arjuna also thought of Krishna consciousness or Buddhi Yoga or intelligence in spiritual advancement of knowledge as something like retirement from active life and practice of penance and austerity at a secluded place. And Swami Srila Prabhupada, he wrote in the purport, jokingly he said that skillfully Arjunji wanted to avoid fighting in the name of Krishna consciousness, because Lord Shri Krishna explained so much about divine consciousness. So Arjunji was proposing retirement from fighting for advancement in Krishna consciousness. So skillfully he was trying to avoid the fight. But because Arjunji has surrendered, we saw he surrendered to the Lord Shri Krishna as his spiritual master. He accepted Lord Shri Krishna as his spiritual master. Shadi Mam Tvam Prapannam, he surrendered, and as a sincere student he is placing the matter. There is no harm in discussing with the spiritual master. So he is placing his question in front of his spiritual master. Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Lord Shri Krishna also accepted to become the spiritual master of Arjunji, and Arjunji was very, very fortunate to have the Supreme Personality of Godhead as directly present before him and accepted him as his disciple and is guiding him on in the science of Krishna consciousness, in the science of divine consciousness. So Arjunji is very, very fortunate. But others, those who do not have that fortune, those who cannot, though Lord Shri Krishna is Vande Krishnam Jagat Guru and he is guiding every living entity From the heart, he is seated in the heart as Paramatma, Mata Smriti Jnanam Apohanam Cha, Sarvasya Chaham Hirdasannavishta. The Supreme Lord is seated in everyone's heart and is guiding every living entity from the heart, from the region of the heart, from the core of the heart. But by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are bona fide spiritual masters who appear in this world, liberated souls, Mahatmas, great souls, just for preaching this divine consciousness, Krishna consciousness, the science of Krishna consciousness to others. So skillfully Swami Srila Prabhupada used. So there are many people in this world who want to escape their occupational duties in the name of divine consciousness, in the name of advancement in divine consciousness. So Arjun ji, on behalf of those people, or one should not misunderstand, others should also not be misguided. So Arjun ji, on behalf of others, is asking this question to Lord Shri Krishna, and Lord Shri Krishna will now wonderfully, elaborately explain the science of Karma Yoga in this third chapter, as mentioned by Swami Srila Prabhupada, of which Lord Shri Krishna already gave a hint in the previous chapter. So work, svadharma, has to be done for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. The codes and conducts of the Vedic literature are ordained by the Supreme Lord, and one has to work without any fruitive mentality. That is very important. So if swadharma, if occupational, labha labho jaya jayo, sukhe dukhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo. So Lord Shri Krishna will now very elaborately explain the concepts of Karma Yoga or action in Krishna consciousness in this chapter. So in other words, he wanted to skillfully avoid the fighting by using Krishna consciousness as an excuse. But as a sincere student, he placed the matter before his master and questioned Krishna as to his best course of action. In answer, Lord Krishna elaborately explained Karma Yoga or work in Krishna consciousness in this third chapter. So very beautiful verse and very beautiful question by Arjun ji, just for the benefit of all humanity. And Lord Shri Krishna will now describe the science of Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness, how one can work in this world, how one can be engaged in his occupational duties and still satisfy the Supreme Lord and advance in Krishna consciousness. So it will be very elaborately described by Lord Shri Krishna in this chapter. So with this, I would like to stop this session here. In our next session, we will continue with the second verse of the third chapter. So Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhans Parivrajacharya Shtrotrashat Shri Srimad Krishna Kripa Murti Abhay Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. All glories to His Divine Grace Abhay Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Lord Shri Krishna. All glories to Bhagavad Gita. All glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Holy Name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.